celebrate and memorialize Julia A. Moore, a Michigan-born and bred poet who was blessed with an extraordinary ability to write funny poems. The only problem was Mrs. Moore didn't mean to write funny poems. Intending to write deeply felt and highly sentimental verse, she produced a product so awash in pathos that it had the power to reduce a statue to tears. Her poems honored great men, paid tribute to hometowns, noble deeds, and frequently and inevitably dealt with tragic and untimely deaths. As Neil Rubin of the Detroit Free Press remarked, it was all but impossible to expire in Kent County without jump-starting her muse. If the subject matter was not bad enough, her craftsmanship was worse. Simply put, her poetry broke every rule of grammar, rhyme, meter, and sensible choice of words. The poems were so bad they were funny. And Mark Twain not only claimed that Julia A. Moore was his favorite poet, and that he had read her book, Sweet Singer of Michigan, twice in one day, but he modeled the character Emmeline Grangerford in Huckleberry Finn after her. Her critics immediately recognized that her first book, Sweet Singer of Michigan, as a masterpiece. One reviewer said, "To meet such steady and unrelenting demands on the tear ducts, a person should instead be equipped with a water main." Another found her first book rare food for lunatics. And the Worcester Daily Press said her poems, quote, clutch the tendrils of the soul as a garden rake clutches a hop vine, and hauls the reader into a closer symphony with that which exists between a man and his undershirt. The critics made Sweet Singer of Michigan a bestseller, and she became a popular speaker on the lecture circuit. Little did she realize, though, that people were coming to her presentations and her lectures to make fun of her and to laugh at her poetry. The Grand Rapids Daily Eagle reported on a reading Mrs. Moore gave the city in May of 1877. Quote, "She was greeted with a prolonged tumult of applause. So spontaneous and hearty was this approbation that she was frequently interrupted, often in her most telling and pathetic passages, and compelled to pause until the enthusiasm had somewhat subsided. Indeed, so uncontrolled was the adulation of the multitude that often it would burst forth with tremendous intensity. At passages so pathetic, angels should have wept." To criticize the entertainment in any particular would be superfluous. The renditions of this talented author and elocutionist are wholly beyond the pale of legitimate criticism. As in religion, there are matters too sacred to be subjected to the rude scrutiny of reason. So in art, there are heights and depths where criticism stands abashed. Unquote. When the poet finally awoke to the fact that people were coming to make fun of her, she told a particularly rude and raucous audience, "You spent a quarter to look at a fool. I was paid $50 to look at a room full." She then stopped making public appearances. I hasten to add, this is not another room full of fools. Yes, we have come to laugh, but with her, not at her. Laughter is one of God's great healing gifts, and whether she intended it or not, Julia brought forth a wealth of healing. We are also here to celebrate the art, no matter how lowly, of literature and verse. Susan Lewis Phillips, a contestant in this year's poetry contest, said it much better than I can in a letter that accompanied her submission. "Congratulations on creating an imaginative idea that heightens awareness about the fun that can be had in literature. Wonderful words, Too bad they weren't good enough to get her poem in the honorable mentions. Julia A. Moore left a legacy in Michigan, both in poetry and people. For her poetical legacy, Linda Moxham will favor us with a sampling of Julia Moore's verse. For those unfamiliar with Mrs. Moxham, she is a director of development for Flint Youth Theater and has had a long and illustrious career on the Flint stage. She volunteered to read the poetry before even looking at it. Not a smart move. Mrs. Moxham's aplomb, composure, theatrical skills, and her ability to wring the last drop of sentiment out of poems will test her considerable skills to the limit. Ladies and gentlemen, Linda Moxham.
Thank you, Tom. The Author's Early Life by Julia A. Moore. I will write a sketch of my early life. It will be of childhood day, and all who chance to read it, no criticism pray. My childhood days were happy, and it fills my heart with woe to muse o'er the days that have passed by and the scenes of long ago. In the days of my early childhood, Kent County was quite wild, especially the town I lived in when I was a little child. I will not speak of my birthplace, for if you will only look o'er the little poem, My Childhood Days, that is in this little book. I'm not ashamed of my birthright, though it was of poor estate. Many a poor person in our land has risen to be great. My parents were poor, I know, kind friends, but that is no disgrace. They were honorable and respected throughout my native place. My mother was an invalid and was for many a year, and I, being the eldest daughter, her life I had to cheer. I had 2 little sisters and a brother, which made 3, and dear mother being sickly, their care it fell on me. My parents moved to Algoma nearly 23 years ago and bought 100 acres of land. That's a good-sized farm, you know. It was then a wilderness with tall forest trees abound, and it was 4 miles from a village or any other town. And it was 2 miles from a schoolhouse. That's the distance I had to go. And how many times I traveled through summer suns and winter snow. Oh, how well I do remember going to school many a morn, both in summer and in winter, through many a heavy storm. My heart was gay and happy. This was ever in my mind. There is better times a-coming, and I hope someday to find myself capable of composing. It was by heart's delight to compose on a sentimental subject if it came in my mind just right. If I went to school half the time, it was all that I could do. It seems very strange to me sometimes, and it may seem strange to you. It was natural for me to compose and put words into rhyme, and the success of my first work is in this little songbook of mine. My childhood days have passed and gone, and it fills my heart with pain to think that youth will never more return to me again. And now, kind friends, what I have wrote, I hope you will pass o'er, and not criticize, as some have done, hitherto here before. Thank you. Roll on, time, roll on. Roll on, time, roll on, as it has always done, since the time this first world begun. It can never change my love that I gave a dear man faithful friend, I gave my heart and hand. Roll on, time, roll on. It can never turn back to the time of my maiden days, to the time of my youth. It can never turn back when I wandered with my love bright and gay. I was happy then as a girl could ever be and live on this earth here below. I was happy as a lark and busy as a bee, for in fashion or style I did not go. My parents were poor and could not dress me so, for they had not got the money to spare. And it may be better so, for I do not think fine clothes make a person any better than they are. Some people are getting to think so, that a poor girl, though she may be bright and intelligent and gay, she must have nice clothes or she's nothing in this world if she's not dressed in style every day. Remember, never to judge a person by their clothes. For our brave, noble Washington said, "Honorable are rags if a true heart they enclose." And I found it was the truth when I married. Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids. Wild Rove. I have to start again, I'm sorry. Okay, ready? Okay. Grand Rapids. Wild roved the Indians once on the banks of Grand River, and they built their little huts down by that flowing river in a pleasant valley fair, where flows the river rapid. An Indian village once was there, where now stands Grand Rapids. Indian girls and boys were seen with their little bow and quiver, riding in their light canoes up and down the river. Their hearts were full of joy. Happy voices singing made music. With forest birds they kept the valley ringing. Indians have left and gone beyond the Mississippi. They called the river Awashtenong, where stands this pleasant city. Louis Campo, the first white man, bought land in Grand Rapids. He lived and died an honored man by people of Grand Rapids. When Campo came to the valley, no bridge was across the river. Indians in their light canoes rowed them o'er the water. Railroads now from every way run through the city Grand Rapids. The largest town in West Michigan is the city of Grand Rapids. Thank you. The last poem that I would like to read by Julia A. Moore is very poignant. The name of it is Hiram Helsel. Once was a boy, aged 15 years. Hiram Helsel was his name. and he was sick 2 years or so. He has left this world of pain. His friends, they miss this lovely boy that was patient, kind, and brave. He left them all for him to mourn. He is sleeping in his grave. He was a small boy of his age. When he was 5 years or so, was shocked by lightning while to play, and it caused him not to grow. He was called Little High Helsel by all friends that knew him well. His life was sad, as you shall hear, and the truth to you I'll tell. His parents parted when he was small, and both are married again. How sad it was for them to meet and view his last remains. He was living with his father then, as many a friend can tell. 'Tis said his father's second wife, that she did not use him well. Just before little Hiram died, his uncle and aunt were there. He kissed them both, bid them farewell. They left him with a prayer. Now he is gone. Oh, let him rest. His soul has found a haven, for grief and woe ne'er enters there, in that place called heaven. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. The combination of Julia's poems and your interpretation leaves us speechless. We've heard from the master, but before we hear from her latter-day disciples, the 14 poets who are finalists in this contest, it is only appropriate that the two judges have a chance to comment on this year's crop of entries. Jan Worth and Danny Rendelman have, for the second year, returned as judges to the Moore Festival. This after Mr. Rendelman last year decreed that judging the poetry contest was more painful than periodontal surgery. By my reckoning, the two of them have over the past 2 years read over 1,400 bad poems, and that's not including the work of their students at U of M Flint. The remarkable thing is that both of them are still well-adjusted individuals. They still have a sense of humor. Their marriage still works. They still each write pretty good poetry that remains untainted by their work with the contest, and they're still speaking to us at the library. Or that was the case up until 2 weeks ago. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Rendelman and Jan Worth.
If whether we're still speaking to you or not is a measure, I'll try to keep my remarks brief. I view myself as the statistician in this duo. And last year I did an ode count, as some of you who were here may remember. The ode seems to be the most popular form, the most popular copycat form. This year we got 41 odes, and I'd like to just read you, as I did last year, this year's catalog of odes. Ode to Amanda's toenail, ode to an amoeba, ode to Amy, ode to the ants, ode to an aspiring maiden violinist, ode to Barney, ode to a bullhead, ode to a butterfly, ode to a cheap dead husband, ode to a college, one of my favorites, ode to a college student, ode to a couch, ode to children playing, ode to cuppy cake, ode to a dead toad in the road, ode to dirty socks, ode to a drive-by victim, ode to Dwight, ode to 88, ode to an ex-candidate who re-entered the race, ode to a geranium, ode to globulous John, ode to an Irish boss, ode to joy, ode to a loofah, ode to a maligned poet, ode from a material girl, just buy my book, ode to multiple sclerosis, ode to Nancy, ode to the nosy one, ode to obnoxious odors, ode to onions, ode to the poem, ode to a poetess, ode to poetry, ode to Stacy and Saul, ode to the state, a little play on words, ode to the tax man, ode to a teddy bear, ode to a sock, ode to a spittoon. And I thought that you might like to, this year, hear a little bit about the pathetic choice of themes that we received in our entries. They reached a real new low compared to last year. I don't know what it was, but bodily functions were particularly repugnantly evident in this year's collection. And so I thought you might like to hear a little bit about the sad and sick recurrent themes. When I put them together, I sort of put them in 4 categories. Bodily functions, animals, death and sick eating habits, which seem to be related, and assorted other fantasies. So I thought I'd go through these and just tell you how many of each we got. Bodily functions. BO 3, bad breath 2, snoring 2, farting, excuse this expression, but none of our poets did, 7, belching 3, spittle 4, diarrhea 1, constipation 1, throwing up 7, obesity 6, obese pet 1, snot 4, nose picking or nose blowing 5, Kleenex 1, related to the previous functions, hair loss 1, melanoma 3, lost limbs 1, fingers lost in a salad 1, tapeworm in a person 1, outhouses 2, and a combination of digestion and excretion problems several. Now let's move to the animals category. The love and butchering of cows. Now, believe it or not, we got 2 poems on that same subject. Cow pies 2, eating dead pets 3, and the animals eaten were a duck, a ptarmigan, and a pig. But former pets, may I stress. Eating ants 1. Dead pets in general were big. We had 9 on that, including a hamster who drank himself to death and numerous dogs, toads, and bugs hit and squashed gorily by a car. Bird poop 1, spiders 4, fleas 2, roadkill 5, worms 4, roaches 2, and related subject hairballs 1. Death and sick eating habits. Let's start with Jack Kevorkian, 1. Cadavers 1. Death by chewing gum. Now, the rest of these, I don't have numbers, but most of them are 1. Death by chewing gum, death by poison mushroom, death by combine. This was a great one because it was a mother-son double decapitation. Death by buzzard, spider, paper cut, squash, or truck. At least 1 of each. Grease, death by apples. This was a teacher being pelted to death by her students. Eating one's child, uncle, or other relative. You are sick. There's some sick people out there. Being eaten by Martians. Then related disgusting things. Bad smells, 8. Dirty socks, 6. Lorena Bobbitt, 5. Implied copycat Lorena Bobbitt mutilations, 3. Divorce, 3. I put that there for a reason. Barney, 2, including one in which he causes insanity and another in which he is hanged. And under the assorted other fantasies, I had fishing 6, lawnmowers 2, TV shopping 4, Tanya and Nancy 5, you know who we mean, Ernie Harwell 1, sex organs dropping off due to Lake Erie water 1, and, and finally, cross-dressing in Julia Moore's hometown 1.
Good evening. Welcome. I would like to begin my introduction with a truism that is a ground rule, something all of us can agree with on some level in some universe with some degree of similar intelligence. Poetry ain't pretty. Poetry is what most of us can't do very well and wouldn't even with a fully loaded 12-gauge shotgun upside our heads, while our loved ones swarm around our gouty feet going, "Dad, Dad, please, just one sonnet." Some folks, it now appears, would. Bless their little Rite Aid, 7-Eleven, corner Chinese restaurant souls. Their less than noble, hot to trot, I'll do anything for fame and fortune, glory, may you rain delight down on my protoplasm-less souls. These folks want respect. This is it. This is all some of us get. Not only is poetry not pretty, but life is not fair. Why else would I be here? I would like to be able to say we chose the best. Who am I kidding? Whom are we honoring tonight, after all? Dante, T.S. Eliot, Wallace Stevens, Rod McEwen, Danny Rendleman? Not bloody likely. As you move around among yourselves tonight, as you shift uncomfortably from one haunch to the other, trying to think of something, anything but Julia A. Moore and the winners of this contest, let me leave you with this thought. The famous Japanese poet Tofu once challenged his students with this question: what tree would you like to be? The first student replied, why, the lovely birch tree, so white and regal, standing among all the brown and black trees. And the second student replied, why, the mighty oak, strong and sheltering, such a magnificent tree to grow from the tiny acorn. And the third student replied, why, the graceful willow, master. It moves like a dancer in the wind. And the last student replied, the pine, of course, and said no more. The poet master looked puzzled and asked the student, why the pine tree? The student replied, because the pine tree is like a bad poet. It's prickly, appears to be more substantial than it really is, moans loudly at the slightest provocation, and drips sap all over anybody dumb enough to stand too close. Needless to say, the last student was shot immediately with that 12-gauge shotgun I mentioned earlier. Finally, I never knew so many people out there have trouble telling the difference between poultry and poetry. Otherwise, how to explain so many writers laying eggs? Welcome to the second annual Julia A. Moore Poetry Festival. I hope you have a good time. Buy a souvenir t-shirt or a sweatshirt. Buy a collection of the winning poems. Maybe enter a poem next year. And remember, poetry may not be pretty, but at least it won't borrow your underwear. Thank you.
And now for the finalists. This year's contest drew 620-some odd poems from over 400 poets. The judges have selected 14 as finalists. Each will be read, and we will present awards from the first through the third place finishers. It is important to note that this was a blind contest, and as after you've heard the judges speak, you know blind in more than one way. With the judges being unaware of the poet's name or geographical location. The poems came from all across America, from Massachusetts to Anchorage, Alaska, from the frozen, mind-numbing cold of northern Minnesota to the brain-frying heat of Florida. Yet by all the laws of nature and averages, 11 out of the 14 finalists were written by Michiganians. I am proud to say that the people of Michigan have picked up the torch from the falling hands of Julia A. Moore and proudly carried it into the present. With this kind of a result, I think our state richly deserves a new motto: if you seek a bad poet, look around you. And now for the finalists. Appropriately, the first poem is called For Julia A. Moore in Heaven by Wolf Knight of Chelsea, Michigan. It will be read by the author, Mr. Knight.
For Julia A. Moore in Heaven. In poetry's bright game, ever of joy the bringer, glad angels shout the name of Michigan's sweet singer. Bestriding the broad length along our pine-girt land, none other had the strength of her melodious hand. When tragedy occurred to the woeful and the tired, her skillful rhyming seldom erred, her meter ne'er expired. Oh, that her voice is gone, 'tis needed so today. Fair lark, beloved of king and pawn, our good friend Julia A. Less black I know shall seem the night, the weary day grow shorter, when at last my ear greets with delight Erato's grand reporter. By all the saints who bless heaven's celestial shore, I could not love turgidity less. Loved I not Julia more.
Next, by Marianne Cullopy of Methuen, Massachusetts. Helpful hints for the groom to be, or words of wisdom from the writhing of John Wayne Bobbitt, to be read by Dottie Lovejoy.
How do you love her? Let me count the ways, and follow these rules, my good man, for all your married days. It's best to cut risk early. Right from her bridal shower, secretly sort through all her gifts alone in the midnight hour. Dispose of any cutlery or object sharp to your eye. Plastic utensils are the way to go. Please don't ask me why. If she demands good silverware, take this advice from me. Lock the drawer it's kept in and throw away the key. For those Thanksgiving holidays when carving is a must, suggest a fancy restaurant, one that you can trust. The menfolk in Virginia send this tip your way. Learn to sleep on your stomach, be it night or day. So be sure to love her dearly for all the days of your life, and never go to bed angry. She could still get hold of a knife. And if indeed this happens, the procedure no longer new, before they reattach it, be sure it belongs to you.
You know, this is one of those times where it's truly appropriate to say it doesn't get any better than this. Next poem, John Wayne Bobbitt Deserved, by Susan M. Kennedy of Highland Park, Michigan, read by Linda Moxon.
John Wayne Bobbitt deserved explanation for wife Lorena's agitation. She suspected betrayal, so decided to impale and cut off his closest relation. She nonchalantly took possession of what he had prized with obsession. After searching for hours, cops found it among flowers, wilted and without expression. He decided to take her to court and tried to remain a good sport despite her rude acts and all of the facts, hoping they'd get together and cavort. The doctors did all that they could. It was reattached to him, looking good. Though it's now elongated, he is somewhat frustrated, fearing it won't perform as it should. In a few months, he will discover if from this ordeal he'll recover, with what he's equipped, and stays tight-lipped and says naught of it to his next lover. Headlines will blare out if it worked, or merely just hung there and shirked, disappointed and shy when he gave it a try. Good luck, John. Let's hope that it perked.
The next poem is by Ann Eby of Lansing, Michigan, entitled Ars Poetica Trichomonia, read by the author.
The trichomonads aren't at fault for choosing my most private vault. It's just the sort of place they need to hide and multiply and breed, to multiply and breed and hatch More little beasts to make me scratch. Switching their cunning little tails on toilet seats and inside mails, they lie in wait, too soon to be sporting, cavorting inside me. Well, though I'm feeling hot and itchy, carping at nature does seem bitchy. I'll just endure the little beasts along with polyps, men, and yeast. Still, what a habitat to pick. I think it's quite a dirty trick.
Next, we will hear the poem The Box Elder Blues by Wes Schultz of St. Paul, Minnesota, read by Jim Home, accompanied by Guy Moxon.
The blues are inspired by any number of topics, including one found in Kellogg on Common Insects in 1892, the box elder bug blues. Red and black and slow and flat, you're a bug that's where it's at. Horseflies buzz and skeeters hum, you survive by keeping mum. Congregating in early June, you invoke no mating tune. In groups that turn my siding black, you conjugate your sneak attack. You patter off on quiet legs after you have laid your eggs. Box elder tree, why have you got it in for me? I blend detergents, try to douse you from the outskirts of my house. By late July, the attic's full. My cat won't eat you, thinks you're dull. Although you do not whine or bite, I loathe you on my face at night. What birds or bats might I import to eat box elder bugs for sport? If predators won't do the trick, I need God's intervention, quick. Your insect blood is cold and snow. I pray for early frosts and snow. Box elder tree, you better listen close to me. Now as I write, the winter's old, February's white and very cold, but sunshine makes the bugs return. I kill them, but they never learn. I crack them on the kitchen floor. Their relatives come back for more. My vacuum cleaner sucks them in, but they crawl right back out again. At noon, I grab a spoon to scoop their black chaff off my lukewarm soup. Box elder tree, your bugs should not reside with me. Do insects have more rights than I because my heat has helped them fly? It ticks me off and wrecks my lunch to step on you and hear you crunch. Leptococcus triviatus, I'm about to change your status. It's time to face the facts and be as tough as my old box elder tree. It's gone beyond a growl and frown. I'm gonna saw that damn thing down. Box elder tree, this time it's either you or me. Guy Moxon, great guitar.
The next poem to be read is The Choice Cow, written by Grant Berry of Muskegon, Michigan, to be read by Guy Moxon.
You could have been a drink
if you'd been a dairy cow. Instead, you're in the sink thawing out for someone's chow. You could have used your squeezins for bones, teeth, and hair, but most of you is freezing in someone's Frigidaire. You could have traveled to Wisconsin for processing of Limburger, but your shanks are in a basin to be ground into hamburger. Your cream could have been on pies, your butter spread on toast, but hot dogs now have your eyes. And your butt's a large rump roast. Your milk could have been for baking or evaporated in a can. Instead, your tail a pot of soup is making, and your tongue is in Japan. You say you're better off like this, dismembered by meat cutters. You'd rather end up on a dish than have that thing strapped to your udders.
We go bravely onward with the next poem, The Trees, They're Good, by Joyette Rosensky from Toledo, Ohio. It will be read by Linda Moxon.
Trees, they're good. Trees are lovely. Trees, they're good. They can't pollute 'cause they're made of wood. Trees stand straight and never slouch. Some can be made into a pretty good couch. Environmentalists love to bug 'em. Parasites just bug 'em. Trees have hung around with dinosaurs and were there when Adam sinned. Trees can be grown into windbreaks, but never have been accused of breaking wind. Trees, they're good. This fact I avow. Their middles may not bend, but they can still take a bow.
Next, Ode to the Big Hair Destroying Ozone Layer by Kristen Cook of Tucson, Arizona, to be read by Guy Moxon.
Whoa! Is my heart? My dear Jessica and I are now apart. Ah, how I loved her from her poofy hair to her big toe. I know this sounds sappy, but we were so happy. Then things just disintegrated. It happened after we first dated. We were going to the movies in my car, but alas, we didn't get very far because my precious Jessica, my precious star, could not fit her head into my car. We pushed, we pulled, how hard we tried, but it was no use, so we just cried. Now my love has someone new, one who can accommodate that big hairdo. And the reason he is able to is because he drives a convertible Isuzu. Oh, my heart! How it does bleed. Because, my darling, I do need. I even grew to love the smell of Aquanet she used so well. I have this terrible fear that I won't find another so dear, or one with hair quite so queer.
Next is The Sunday Outing by Lois Keavy Nachman of Huntington Woods. Mrs. Nachman will read her own poem, and it is worth mentioning that Mrs. Nachman is the only poet who was also in the finalists last year and who made the finalists this year. Mrs. Nachman.
The Sunday Outing. Ah, see the happy children play and hear their little voices raised in sweet song. I shudder to think the day will come, and not ere long, when death will claim some other dear boy or girl. We had always hoped to lower in the cold sod our little Sarah, our pride and joy among 9 other dear gifts of God. Alas, such happiness was not our fate. Our Sarah did not throw up her supper and on the morrow refuse all sustenance. Worse to relate, we never found her body to our sorrow. Not for us the comfort of clasping her still form to our bosoms one last time before the cold grave enclosed her face once warm and left her saintly soul to heaven to soar. It all began, alas, one fatal morn. Our Sunday school went to Willow Creek Swamp. Our muskrat and kettle corn dinner needed more vegetables. I shrieked here to remember. They went to Tittabawassee River, looking for the tan morel mushroom, which grows in marshy spots near the Tittabawassee. A black underpart means a false morel and the tomb. Our children early are told the angel of death, as we call it, is not to pick or eat, and they must avoid it as they would the devil bear's hot breath, if they would their dear parents ever meet this side of paradise. Our Sarah wandered away, too late for help. A heart of stone would weep, sucked down in a bog. She did not pop back up. Let's have it again, huh? Sucked down in a bog. She did not pop back up, I say. Through the hole she fell through. We must reap what we have sown. As she sank, a hush fell that cried aloud to heaven to save the unfortunate child. The pastor ran to thank the good Lord. No others trod that way, and crave eternal rest for Sarah. Here at home, as darkness gathered, we could see at once that something was wrong. The moon of the returning children gave us the key to this tragedy. Not even a mother's tears could save her. Our fervent prayers unheard, divine providence took her to a better place. Our fears are fruitless. We must look forward to reunion with our dear Heavenly Father after this veil of tears is over, and join with little angel Sarah in heaven all together. Meanwhile, o'er our lives, we feel her presence hover to bless us to eternity forever.
It should be noted that last year Mrs. Nachman's poem was 4 lines long, proving that she is a master of the bad poem in both the long form and the short form. Next, we will hear On Raking Dead Fish During a Lunar Landing by Susan Elizabeth Howie of Lake Orion, Michigan. Miss Howie.
Gulls did screech in that epic moment, dear. Then on earth our task was clear. Dead alewives on the beach. What message could, in death, they teach? Like fallen leaves from weeping beach, they foundered once in tepid breach, now crisply curl on shore. O herring, kin of albacore, dead alewives on the beach, what message have you to teach? Lake Huron accepts their fluids leached, while mold their silvered scales in peach with bacteria that abound. Like Neil's footprints on cold gray ground, here are dead alewives on our beach. What kind of message can they teach? As one small step began his speech, into hefty sacks we each raked Piscean bodies stiff, wondering, still wondering if dead alewives on the beach had a message us to teach. Astronauts narrowed the cosmic breach. We disinfected thongs with bleach, removing tracked fish now decayed, who lost, swum up a man-built way, became dead alewives on the beach. What message had they come to teach? The St. Lawrence Seaway west did reach, joined sea and Great Lakes each to each. Fresh water with its lack of salt defeats the shining fish. They halt, and dying, wash up on the beach. Find we the message that they teach? Anadromous fish, Laurentian fleeched, with sear and staring eyes, ourselves impeach. Did misnamed way not freshly call? 'Twould be no corpses here at all. No dead alewives on the beach? Now comes the message. Hark, they teach. May yet born environmentalists ne'er need to preach, nor rake from the sea of tranquility's beach, lifeless stowaways from a U.S. rocket, or parasites escaped from a spacesuit pocket, like these dead alewives on the beach, or lake trout maimed by lamprey leech. To future souls, Lord, we beseech, let us the alewives' message teach.
Four more poems to go, ladies and gentlemen. Next, The Premature Demise of Melissa McDrew by Alan N. McLeese of Saginaw, Michigan. This poem will be read by Dottie Lovejoy.
Dead lies Missy, unfairly entombed. Piteous babe, at first squall doomed. Mourned by kin and relatives too. Sweet Jenny, how we miss Missy McDrew. Oh, Missy, never cautioned by the fates. Life, 'tis no swing on rustical gates. Woe, Missy, pluckiest flower of the land. How couldst the unseen deal such a hand? Afflicted mid-squaddle by measles, croup, as toddler confounded by cough with whoop. Survive teen swoons of uncounted dozens. Immoral suggestions by vile first cousins. Then, in 20s, bloom off all cheeks, languished with flu for nigh on 2 weeks. In 30s, burdened by bequest from father, filthy lucre to cause such a pother. Riven Hensley from we she loved best, summers at 40 with veto in Trieste. Winters, we could tender her no balm, as Missy did glow neath sweltering palm. Too precious and fey for us to keep her, too grand a prize for wretched reaper. Like a shooed hen, her 50s they flew. 60s sped like 60 for Missy McDrew. Fled to Palm Beach once 70s came long, shuffling to return in grip of mahjong. Cruises above salt gave scant surcease. How snappish the native, how humid Nice. And hi-ho to Arizona, both arid and dry. Savings on Kleenex, yet Phoenix nearby, where rogues of a feather plot to plunder. What next? Why me? Could Missy not wonder? In gray 90s, far too fine she went, not meant to tarry on this ball of dirt. No wonder her dear organs rose in a rage, or hasty and untimely onset of old age. Thank you.
Next, by Ginny Grish of Farmington Hills, Michigan, The Buns of Buttafuoco, read by Jim Holm.
I forgot my Ted Koppel wig, but I will try to do my best anyway. The court was packed, the media frothing to see the rumored photos of Buttafuoco's bare behind, the biggest scoop since Waco. The gossip was that to help his cause and perhaps to better his fate, Buttafuoco had let his parts be snapped. Now the news world couldn't wait. But presently, to the sorrow of all, the prosecutor spoke. No photos will be needed, won't be no skin flicks, folks. We've hired a doctor to examine, chart, then duly describe the naked Buttafuoco. No tattoos or moles will he hide. And if his member be small or bent or enhanced artificially, this will be noted in accurate detail. Thus justice is served, you see. The journalists wept, the anchors cried, the tabloid crews were stunned. How can we serve the public without Buttafuoco's buns? The world has a right to see Joey exposed, the press did moan and wail. We'll hire some paparazzi to make this their holy grail. So, one dark night, in a cold, damp stall, or in a porta-john plastic, a hired camera will do the job. And those butt shots will be fantastic.
The next poem, Ode to Amanda's Toenail, by Susan Landis of Livonia, Michigan, to be read by Guy Moxon.
I found it, lying on the floor where it had fallen all unseen. Her precious toenail, lost, alone, no longer giving her paw a sheen. I closely looked at all 4 feet of my beloved pet and found the toe that had lost the shell-like nail that dropped it, useless, on the ground. Oh, little toenail shaped like a petal, should I keep thee in my pocket or wear thee round my neck? On a chain, on a locket. Precious toenail, lost unknowing, I shall keep thee always glowing. Thou once an integral part of her, no longer dost protrude from fur. Thy petal shape that graced her paw now lies within my pocket's maw. I shall keep thee on a velvet bed within my curio, next to David's head. As precious as if marble born is that doggie's epidermal horn.
And mercifully, we come to the last poem, entitled Billy Barnes, written by Anthony T. Sutton of Jackson, Michigan. Mr. Sutton is here to read his own poem.
This was cruel and unusual punishment. Oh, late, too late did Billy Barnes acquire knowledge of the fate he was to meet. How tragically was his face inclined. How truly sad his tiny feet. To play croquet is a joyous thing. It lifts the heart and mind. And Billy played it with the best, for he was the sporting kind. Billy's shots were quick and true, his mallet placed with care. Since he took his time to size each shot, of perfect wins he'd had his share. So why, O fates, did Billy kneel on that frightful day of days to sight his shot against the pole after almost finishing the maze? Yes, why? Or how? Could Barnes thus place his head upon the sward to scan the lie of turf and blade? Was it because the shot looked hard? If so, he'd similarly struck 1,000,000 times. It was no more than he had done before. Billy'd seen his ball careen from countless stakes in days of yore. But he did squat, and thinking not, depressed his cranial pot upon that grassy spot. It was fate which caused his teammates' aim to err. When she was cracking out a bump, and cruel physics which declared the punished ball should take a jump. The ovoid dagger airborne crashed into the cranium of Billy Barnes's prostrate head. It mashed, it trashed, it hurt him some. It's not over. His friends and teammates gathered round, expressing words of woe. Whoa, 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 whoa! They cried. To no avail, their champion laid low. For Barnes had passed to a better place, where the green grass never fades, and surely Billy plays today in the heavenly croquet glades. And his golden balls pass through silver hoops, hit with a marble mallet, and never again will Bill's judgment air, or shall it?
Well, you've heard them all, every last one of them, and now we are to the point in the evening where we award the prizes. I know the air is electric with tension, so we'll get to it right away. But to award the prizes, award these cheesy trophies, we were going to bring to the stage the great-great-granddaughter of Julia Moore, Leslie Moore. And the third place winner is
the choice cow, Grant Berry.
Grant Berry unfortunately could not be here tonight, but I know if he was, he would say he was moved by the... Sorry. Second place winner is
the premature demise of Melissa McDrew, Alan N. McLeese.
Saginaw, Michigan, Mr. McLeese. Congratulations. Care to say anything, or you've said enough?
Just that it's hard to be bad.
And the first place winner, the poet who will take home the coveted Julia.
Billy Barnes, Anthony T. Sutton, Jackson, Michigan.
Apotheosis of my entire existence.
The picture of Julia A. Moore that graces our poster, our t-shirts, and our sweatshirts shows a proud woman of stern demeanor, caught in a moment of slightly bemused, disapproving bewilderment. The library hopes that with tonight's program, that wherever Julia is, her countenance holds a slight smile. I want to thank, for making this program possible, the Friends of the Flint Public Library, the Julia A. Moore family, certainly Danny Rendelman and Jan Worth, Linda Moxham, and our readers Guy Moxham, Jim Holmes, and Dottie Lovejoy. And thank you for coming.